All right, we want to talk now about the struggling oil industry, which of course is always a big deal here in Texas. You might remember earlier this week, prices on oil futures actually went into negative territory for a while. That could have meant that producers would essentially have to pay people to take oil off of their hands, but it then recovered after that. Joining us to talk more about that this afternoon is Richard Den, PhD, and director of the TCU Energy Institute. Thanks for being with us today, Richard.
It's good to be with you this afternoon.
All right, so we're talking about this industry that is huge here in Texas, hugely important here in Texas, generates a lot of jobs and money here in Texas, and boy, has it been struggling.
Yeah, you've seen producers, especially out, we've been hearing about the boom town over in Midland, and they're going to take this pretty hard there.
Mm-hmm. And so tell me a little bit about what you expect to see outlook-wise here, because again, on Monday, we saw oil go into a territory we've never seen before on the chart. It dipped down so far into negative territory. Since then, it has rebounded hugely, but a lot of people say expect a lot more volatility going forward in the next several weeks.
That's right. Most of what we saw on Monday was due to the futures contracts, and once that got out of the system, we went back to more of a spot price payment. So we're now around $17 at the moment. I expect that price will probably stay for next month, and then maybe at the end of May, we may see another futures issue where we dip down as those contracts become due. The main problem right now is that demand has gone down 30%. Refineries don't want your oil. And we're getting to the point where the storage facilities can no longer handle it. So producers will have to start shutting in whether they want to or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know a lot of these producers, they're always reluctant to stop production because they figure, I've got to stay in this market. If, they're going to stay in the market and they're going to stay in the market, I need to be drilling as well here, even if there isn't a demand for it right now and we're running out of storage for it right now. Talk about the bigger picture here, though, because oil accounts for a lot of jobs in this state, but it also accounts for a lot of tax revenue for this state through sales taxes and through oil production taxes. And this state was depending on something between $50 and $60 a barrel when it did its last budget. And, we're talking about numbers below 20 now. This is going to impact this entire state.
That's right. And you factor in gasoline taxes that you pay when you go to the pump. You factor in also that our major universities, University of Texas and A&M, both get benefits off of the university lands out in West Texas, which is a big part of their budgets. Donations to universities, of course, I'm more in tune with that just because they're at TCU. And then job-wise, not only is it hitting the producers who we normally think of when you see low prices, but it's also going to be hitting the refineries because they've got product that they can't sell. And then now the pipeline companies are going to start getting into trouble, we think, because they no longer have product to put through their pipelines.
Last question here. Do you think, though, that we're better off than where we've been before? This state has been through oil crashes in the past, and it seems like every time we come out of one of those, everybody says we need to diversify this economy some more and not depend so much on oil and gas. Have we done a better job of that here in this state?
Yes, I think we're in a much better position, especially I started in grad school in 1986 when the prices were in the middle of what we call the Great Bust. We've had several downturns since then. And I think each time now, especially you look at the IT has now gotten to be a much bigger part of our economy than what it was back then. I think we're in a better position, especially up here in the Metroplex. Houston may take this one hard, and I think Midland, unfortunately, will take this one really hard.
So as bad as it is, it certainly could be worse if we hadn't diversified a little bit more over the years there. Richard Den, the director of the TCU Energy Institute, thanks for getting into this with us this afternoon. This is going to be a big story going forward for many months to come. Thank you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, Kyle is talking about that weekend forecast, when we might see some rain, but he promised that it's going to look good this weekend, so we'll hold him to that next.